listening to Lead to Greatness.
Hello. Welcome to episode number 10 of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world.
Today on Lead to Greatness, my husband and I will be discussing becoming a better you.
If this is your first time joining the Lead to Greatness community, I want you to subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Also, be looking for valuable content every Thursday.
I want to say a big thank you to those who share us across your social media platform. If this content is helpful to you, we ask that you will please write a review, leave a comment, like and rate the podcast, and help us get the word out. And that would be awesome.
Joining me on today, I have my wife, the love of my life, Miss Shante Francis.
Hey, babe.
Hey. Hey. Good. It's definitely been a while since you've been on here. I've been doing a few interviews. Why do you think becoming your best self is important?
I think not recognizing that you're not operating at your best self can be detrimental to your life in every area, whether it's relationships, whether it's friendships, on the job, in your community, in your family, basically in every area of your life. I could go on and on, but in every area of your life, if you're not being your best self, there's going to be a detriment. There's going to be something that's not going to quite be right. There's going to be something that's going to be lacking. Relationships will struggle. Friendships will struggle. You will struggle in advancement on your job and things of that nature if you're not producing your best self. To produce, I think about it as far as like technology. If we have iPhones, we have iPads, we have computers, we have all of this technology.
Right.
But the one thing that we know for sure is that technology is always advancing, right? And it advances because something is happening to make that phone better. Something is happening to upgrade that phone. And upgrade means to give it more features, or something to make it easier to operate, something to make it more compatible with other things, to produce a better quality. So if I think about it as far as technology, then thinking about it in as far as in yourself, then you want to do the same thing. You want to upgrade yourself. You don't want to be okay with being the same person you were 5 years ago.
Wow.
You don't want to be okay with being the same person you were 2 years ago. We should want to become a better version of ourselves, and not that in a sense of pretending, but in a sense of actually being better.
You know, in our marriage, we're getting ready to celebrate 22 years of marriage. And with our marriage, we are a lot different than we were when we got married at 19 years old.
Over the years, we've become a better version of ourselves. We have worked towards becoming a better self, a better Cedric, a better Shante. Pulling things out of ourselves that we never knew were there, pulling things out of ourselves, upgrading ourselves, adding new features to ourselves, adding new
features, leadership features.
Yeah, exactly. Advancement, functions. Advancements, functions, functionalities, things of that nature. We have constantly upgraded. We've constantly become better ourselves, for each individually and as a couple. We have to. We continue to grow. We continue to morph into something better. And even when you think that it's good where it is, you realize that it could be better. Even when you feel like, oh, this is awesome, this is great, you realize that there's still greater to come ahead. So we're constantly working on becoming better of ourselves.
Right. I mean, me personally, I always thought we had a great marriage.
Right.
And I remember early on, in the beginning, I used to think, oh man, we got the perfect marriage. But then as time went by, as we upgraded ourselves, I became a better me, you became a better you. Through reading, through podcasts like this, we became better. And then I realized, I'm like, man, what I thought was great. So here we are now in a better situation than we were then. I don't even use the statement, we have a perfect marriage. I do not use that.
Yeah, not perfect, because perfect means that there is no room for improvement, that it is superb exactly the way it is. I wouldn't say that it never would say that it's not good, because it is good, but it's just There's always room for improvement. There's always room to be better. Even looking back on those beginning years, it was great for that time because that's who we were, and that's that the relationships spoke volumes of who you were and who I was. And now looking back on it doesn't mean that it wasn't good. It just means that we're at a different level now. I mean, what the iPhone 11 can do, the iPhone 8 could not do.
Yeah.
And if it could, then there would be no reason for the 11. So it's the same thing with upgrading yourself or becoming your best self. Your becoming your best self is your desire to be better. It's your desire to want better. It's your desire to have better, to do better. It's your thoughts that, you know, there's something more to life than what I'm living right now. Even if your life is great, even if or if you feel it's good where it is, you realize that there is still room for improvement. And that's the mindset. You know, even in employee evaluations, they always tell you there's room for improvement, because if you don't think there's room for improvement, then there's no need for you to be there. There's no need for it even to really exist, because it's perfect the way it is. You can't change it. Just let it roll or sit there the way it is, and you become comfortable in that. But realizing that there is a better version of you. Even now, I look at myself, and I'm sure you look at yourself, and I evaluate my life, and I think my life is good. I have God is blessing me. I have a lot going on. I have a lot of things that are working in my favor, but I also understand that there is still greater ahead. There's still more inside of me that I want to come out of me. At the end of my life, I want to feel like, and I want to know that I've left it all on the field, like they say. I didn't take anything from this earth with me that I could have produced outside of me. And so that's what I think about when I think about becoming your best self. It means being true to what's on the inside of you, knowing that even being true to that in the moment, it can still be better later on.
Do you think it's bad, or we're doing ourselves a disservice to say, we good and I'm good where I'm at? It's
I
no sense of
definitely think so. I definitely think. I think if you say to yourself, "I'm good where I am. There's no need for me to change. There's no need for me to grow. There's no need for me to do it." You are doing yourself a detrimental disservice. You are setting yourself up for stagnation and for disappointment later,
Yeah, I was
because
just gonna say, yeah, you say you're definitely setting yourself up for disappointment.
and if you can't see that you can be better, if you can't see that your life can be better, if you can't see that, where I could grow, where things could change, where things can be better, where things can increase,
Yeah.
then it's kind of like being stuck in quicksand. You're going to stay there and you just eventually, begin to sink because you just stay there. You have to have a mindset that there's more, there's greater, there's bigger, and not in a sense of greed, but in
Yeah.
a sense of hunger and desire from the inside. None of this is about stuff. It's not about things that you can obtain physically or materialistically in this life. It's all about you as an individual. It's all about your morals, your values, your standards, what you believe in, how you operate, and the things that you do, not the things that you have.
At this time of the recording, we're still dealing with COVID-19. A lot of people have been quarantined. A lot of couples, now they've been spending more time with each other. Some people just sick of spending time with each other, ready to get away than ever, because, we finally getting to know each other. And some of us realizing we really don't like each other like we thought we did. We love each other, but we don't really like each other. And, so I definitely I want to speak to that. Us together collectively as a couple, we want to speak to that couple that that one person want to grow, one person want better, but your partner is not ready to grow. Your partner don't want anything different. Your partner is okay being where they are, being in that situation, being in the state that you're all saying, I'm okay with this. There's nothing wrong with our life. We're doing all right. Everything is perfect. Everything is according to how I want it to be. Why you keep nagging me? Why you keep doing this? Why you keep doing that? Hey, you married me like this. And, when we were married, I didn't have a job. When we were married, I didn't have this. Why are you tripping now? If you married me like this, you should be okay with me staying like this. Let's talk about that. You know, give me your thought from a woman's point of view. You know, you have a woman or a man in the position, in the relationship, where one individual saying, you know what, hey, man, you married me like this. You knew I had a spending problem when we got married. You knew I liked to shop when you got married. Why are you trying to change me now?
It's very difficult. It has to be. It would have to be very difficult to be married to, or in a relationship or friendship where you want better, but the partner does. When you were talking, the only thing I thought about was a business partnership, and that's because that was a simple way to explain it. If person A goes into business with person B, and you're in business to meet a need, to fix a problem, and you also want this business to produce money, produce something to take care of both of your families.
Yeah.
And so when you think of it as a business partnership, if one partner is on the grind and they're looking for more and more business, and they are out there and they're trying to grow their craft, they're trying to make the business better, they're trying to think of better ways to produce, with less cost, and they're doing things to make the business better. And the other partner is like, hey, we got a product or we have a service and people are buying it. Yeah, some people not happy. Yeah, some people complain about customer service, but we good. We still selling our product. We're still selling our service. If you think about that in business, that's going to be a problem, because one person has the mindset to grow and have a Fortune 500 company. The other person is okay with a little booth at the flea market selling what they selling. That's two different mindsets. That's the problem. If one person wants to become a better version of themselves, or are aspiring to be the best version of themselves, but the other partner or the other person is okay with where they are, you're on two different paths. That's going to be a problem. It doesn't matter if it's a platonic friendship or a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
If you're on two different paths, there's going to be a problem, because you're going to always want to go left. They're going to want to go right. You're going to want to move forward. They're going to want to stay still. What's wrong with right here? And you're saying, but there's more ahead. So that's going to always be a struggle. Somebody, most likely the person that wants to be a better version of themselves or to be their best self, they're going to be the ones that's going to be frustrated. They're going to be the one that's going to be upset. They're going to be the one that starts, if they settle for that person saying, I'm okay and we're okay, they're going to feel like they're drowning. They're going to feel like life is caving in on them, like I'm smothering, like you're losing what you have of yourself right now, because you can't even get to the person that you want to be because of this baggage that's holding you where you don't believe you belong anymore. So regardless if it's two friends and we've been BFFs since high school, or if it's a spousal relationship, or if it's a brother and a sister or whatever, when you are in a relationship, if you're on two different paths and have two different mindsets, it's going to be a problem.
Let's say this. Okay. I hear what you're saying. It's easy to walk away.
Yeah.
It's easy to walk away when it's your friend. It's easy to walk away if it's a boyfriend or girlfriend. But what do you do if you're married?
Well,
let me say this. Let me say this to the audience. I'm in camera too. Listen to me. I believe this is very important. This is why it's so important before you get married.
Yes,
don't get so caught up in the hype. Don't get so caught up in what you're doing for the gram or what you're doing for Facebook. Don't get so caught up in the likes, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure this individual is the one. You want to make sure this the one I'm supposed to be married. And married wrongfully and getting married for the wrong reason. And if you're getting married for the wrong reason, if it's because of the money, eventually those things, material things, eventually, listen to me, eventually purpose outweighs material things.
Absolutely.
Purpose outweighs it. Listen to me. You need to take your time. First of all, get to know yourself.
Absolutely.
You need to get to know yourself, not what you're growing into, but get to know yourself right now, and then get to know yourself of who you want to be. You got to have a vision of your own life and say, you know what, in 10 years, this is what I want to look like.
Yeah.
So if I want to look like this in 10 years, I need to be looking for somebody else that want to look like that too.
Yeah.
Because, okay, we may have hooked up and both of us strung out on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
We may have hooked up and both of us like the club. But clubbing is not the rest of my life. That's the season I'm in right now, but I'm trying to get my life together. So here you are trying to get your life together, but that individual, they are comfortable with clubbing. That's their lifestyle. That's what they want to do, and they're okay with it. And I think you are doing them a disservice if you tell them, hey, you know what? Hey, I think it's time. We need to change. We need to do better. No, that's what they wanted. Matter of fact, at one point, that's what you wanted. Listen to me. I'm going to say it again because I want you to be clear. I want to be clear. Recognize who you are and where you're going. Then once you do that, recognize who they are and where they're going.
And that's why it's important, you know, it as far as the marital relationship or someone you intend to marry or someone you're thinking of marrying, the thing that I think, you know, we have to do in order to keep growing, to keep becoming our best selves is we have to get to know people. We have to spend time with that person. And oftentimes we don't do that. Oftentimes we get caught up in the hoo-ha of the I'm in love, or we get caught up in the hoo-ha of what that person looks like or what they're doing for us in the moment.
Roses.
Yeah, we get caught up in, you know, even in the I've been talking this person up, you know, on Facebook, and I've been sharing nothing but the good stuff on social media. So therefore, that's all I see. But you haven't taken time to have a conversation with that person. You haven't, you know, when you sometimes when people are dating, they talking about the past. They may be talking about past relationships. They talk about movies they like, my favorite movie, my favorite song, my favorite this, my favorite that. But people, we don't ask the hard questions. You know, we don't ask the hard questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, what is it that you want out of life? We don't approach the conversation in that way because it's like, oh, I'm just getting to know them. I don't want to scare them off. But if that's if you say, I'm here, but I know that I'm working towards becoming my best self, and in 5 years, I'm going to be different. In 5 years, I live in an apartment now, but in 5 years, I want to have a house. I ride the bus right now, but in 5 years, I want to have a car that's fully paid for. Whatever it may be, you have a vision for your life. If you have a vision for your life, you're doing yourself and the other person a disservice not to share that vision to see if they're on the same page. And what it is I don't need you to dream with me. I need to know if your dream or your vision for your life lines up with mine.
Is they matching, right?
Right, because if you have a different vision or a different dream for your life, if you have a different vision, then maybe we do need to just be friends. Maybe we need to end this before it even gets started. But oftentimes that's not what we do. You know, everybody's story begins differently, but we were not necessarily friends first and got to know each other and what each other desired and what each other wanted and all of that before we became intimate with each other or was saying, hey, let's get married. Some people did not discuss or think about all of those things and what you want to do in the future.
I think it's wrong.
I agree because it's because, but sometimes it's wrong. But in a sense,
I know it's not intentional.
Right. That's
I know
what
it's
I was
not intentional.
say.
I think it's more.
Everybody
out of
don't do it
ignorance.
on purpose.
It's more out of ignorance because, but I do think it's wrong for you want to go here, and if I don't want to go here, and now I'm trying to take you to California when you want to go to Florida. So we're going to have a tug of war because here we are in Houston right now. You want to go west and I want to go east. I mean, we're going to have an issue the whole marriage because I'm trying to get to Florida and you trying to get to California. I mean, there's a beach in California and there's a beach in Florida. Well, it's like which beach I'm trying to get to. We both trying to get to the beach, but in different locations. So we have to. I think it's unfair, and we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on, but I think it's fair. And she said a question. I wrote it down. I want you to write this question down. If you're considering getting married, if you're considering getting in a relationship, I want you to write this question down. The question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself? Ask that person and tell them to be honest. Because I'm telling you, if somebody's lying in 5 years, between there and 5 years, there's going to be a problem. Don't get so caught up in instant gratification. Don't get so caught up in doing it, saying, I want this thing and I just want it right now. Oh, I'm tired of being alone. I've been alone for years. Don't lower your standards. All right. So we're talking about becoming. There's three things becoming the better you. What is the first thing?
The first thing is to be honest.
Be,
What we're just talking about.
go ahead. Expound on it.
You have to be honest. Every self-help book, every 12-step program requires that you start by being honest, that you start by admitting something to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to admit, in order to become your best self, or to become the best version of yourself, to become a better you, however you want to say it, you have to admit that there are some things about you that could be better. We just said, if you think that everything is great, that I'm good the way I am, there is no such thing as becoming a better version of yourself or becoming your best self, because you already think you are the best you that you can be. But in order to become a better version of yourself, or to become your best self, you have to be able to look at you, the man or the woman, in the mirror and say, there are places in my life that need work. There are things that I'm doing that I could be doing better. There are areas of my life where I'm giving, but I'm not giving as much as I could be giving. There are areas in my life where I'm going in, but I'm not going in as hard as I could be. There's something in my life where I'm not giving completely of myself. So you have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself and admit what needs to be worked on, what needs to be changed, what needs to be different, what needs to be better. What is it that you need to work at in order to get, because the better becoming your best self, or becoming a better version of yourself, means that you see yourself going beyond where you are now, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. I see myself going beyond where I am now. So if I got $100 in the bank now, I see myself going beyond that to be better. You mentioned earlier about how we were not on the same page when you initially started studying finance. And that's because for me personally, I had to come to an understanding, or to a conclusion, that just being able to pay the bills and then shop wasn't where I wanted my life to stay. I had to say, okay, there are areas of my life that I want to be different. What are those areas? I want to have a savings account. I want to be prepared if something goes wrong. I want to have money so if a situation arises. And when I realized that that was necessary, then I knew, in order to become the next version, or the best version of myself financially, I had to make some changes. So I had to be honest about the fact that I wasn't being my best. Operating in finance, I wasn't operating to the best of my ability.
So let's do this. So as far as being honest, let's give our audience some strategy. What are some questions they should ask themselves, and being honest with yourself.
What do I need to work on? What do I need to work on? What do I need to put some focus into?
All right. So first question is what do you need to work on?
Yeah. What do you need to work on?
What's the second question?
The second question you ask yourself is, what is it that I could do better? And with this question, that's because I'm doing something and I'm doing okay. Like, I go to work, I'm on time. But maybe I'm not fully engaged. So what could I do better? You're in a relationship and you're being faithful or you're being whatever, but there's still something you can do better, meaning you could be more present in conversations. You can be more present when you're together, be together. You're not on social media or doing anything as a parent. What areas, what can I do better? I'm doing good as a parent. I'm taking care of my kids. I go to work. I do this, do that. But what can I do better? I can do better by sitting down, talking to them, finding out what's going on in their lives, and actually listening to what's important to them.
Okay. So first question, so what do I need to work on? First question. Second question, what can I do better?
Right.
What's one more question?
And one more question would be, what areas am I failing in?
Wow.
Being honest with yourself.
That's hard.
If I'm failing as a wife, I have to be honest about that. What areas am I? If I'm failing as a mother, and I don't mean that you're failing completely in that relationship. You may have a
There's
specific,
room for improvement.
you may have a specific area. Like maybe as a wife, I'm not. If I'm saying as a wife, I can see that I'm not as supportive as I should be. I'm not as attentive as I should be. As a mother, not that doesn't mean I'm a horrible mother, but as a mother, I'm not paying attention to my kids as much as I could be. I'm not concerned. I don't know who their friends are. I don't know the things about their life that I should know. I don't know what they like. I don't know what my child's love language is, what speaks to them. Those are the things that you could be feeling at, because there's ability for you to be better, and the writing is on the wall, but you just don't see it. You're just, sometimes we get so busy doing everything that we forget or we miss out on doing the right thing. So I'm busy as a parent, and I got you in all these after school activities, and I'm buying you all the latest clothes, and you got the latest technology, and I take you out to eat, and I do all this and do all that, but I'm failing at investing time in you.
Wow.
I'm your spouse, and I love you, and I go to work or I cook or I clean, but I'm failing at meeting the need of paying attention to you or asking you, how was your day? How did you feel? So I feel like I'm doing, I don't realize that I'm failing at this specific thing. I'm doing everything I can do, but I'm failing it.
That's good. And one of the things I think we should do as well, where am I failing at? Because let's be honest about it. When we're failing at something, it's kind of hard for us to admit our failures.
Yeah.
A lot of times we act like don't exist.
Don't exist.
A lot of times when I'm talking to people, you don't hear too many people talk about what they're failing at. They want to talk about their strengths, and that's what we tend to focus on. I think one of the things when you're dealing with failure, the most important thing to do is ask someone else. Ask someone that's close
Feedback,
to you.
yeah.
Get some feedback from someone that's close to you.
You got to brace yourself too. Brace yourself for honest feedback, because the truth of the matter is, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking that, honestly, as a human being, the hardest thing to do is admit that you're failing. I'm gonna keep going back to the finance thing. Even in the midst of a good marriage, that was somewhere I was failing at, because I did not know how to properly manage my finances. But at the same time, I wasn't open to hear someone else's point of view of how they should be managed. And the reason why I was failing at it is because I wasn't open to hear how it could be better. I didn't know any better, and I wasn't positioning myself to learn any better.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember like yesterday. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
you literally took it personal.
Yeah, I get out of them fish
You took it personal as if I was telling you the way you have been doing it
exactly
has been wrong.
Exactly.
Instead of looking at it in the fact of how can we grow from here, you took it. I mean, you took it very personal.
I did.
That that I was telling you wasn't doing a good job what you were doing.
That I didn't know what I was doing.
It took you to listen to Dave Ramsey himself.
Yeah.
And then when you heard it from Dave, then you came back to me.
Yeah.
And you told me that, man, you know what? You're ready to get some things together. With that being said, I do want to say this, because this is what happened for you, and I know this happened for a lot of people. A lot of times people are going to get on the defense.
Yeah.
So instead of
do.
me coming to you, and honestly, I do this a trick I do with you. You know, as far as growth, I do this a lot. I do this a lot with her, with my wife all the time.
Yes,
A
you
lot
do.
of time when I'm learning something, what I do if it's a podcast, I just
You
send the
share it.
podcast to her and I just share it. And I say, babe, you need to check this out. So the thing about it, I don't have to go back and tell her that, hey, you need to work on this, or we need to work on this. Only thing I do, I just share the podcast. Be like, babe, this podcast really helped me, and you need to check it out. She check it out, and it allows us to grow together. You know,
Yeah,
even what we're
because
doing now, that what areas that we need growth in.
Mhm.
You know, you're not getting offended. You're not
Yeah.
feeling some kind of way because you're hearing it from somebody else's mouth and not mine.
And like I said, the hardest human nature is human nature.
It's human nature.
And
So we are.
a lot of times the hardest thing to do is to be honest with yourself, especially when you have to say, I'm failing at this. I'm not getting this right. I'm not giving my best. I could be better. I haven't done the best that I should. I haven't given all that I could. I haven't been attentive in ways that being honest about your failings is very hard. But here's the thing, going back to what you just said, the fact that you shared the podcast with me because I wasn't at a state where I could be honest with myself and say I'm failing with how I'm managing our finances, right? And I'm, in my mind, the bills are paid. We good. I'm still able to shop. We good. Never thinking if something horrific happens, you have nothing saved. Because I was never taught that. And it's not anyone else's fault because I wasn't still 15 years old. I was in my 20s. So even though I wasn't taught that, I still had the ability to learn it. So it's not to blame anyone else, but I was stuck in that state. And then as my defense walls would come up, it would be you trying to say, I don't know what I'm doing. You saying that I'm messing up. You saying that the way I've been doing it for the last 10 years is wrong. So that defense went up. But then all you said was, babe, you shared the podcast through a text message. And you said, babe, take a listen to this. And so I started listening to Dave Ramsey, and he's talking to callers who are calling into his show, and he's talking to them, and he straight saying stuff like, that's stupid. That don't make any sense. And I'm like, ooh.
I love it.
Like, oh, he right.
Be
because
honest.
Listen, you can sometimes we need outside mentors or help to help us see where we're failing at. Because when your spouse or your significant other or your sister or your brother or your parent try to be honest with you and tell you, babe, you messing up right here, sweetie, you failing right here, that defense goes up, and mama, you trying to tell me what to do. Mama, you trying to run my life. Daddy, you think you know everything. When they're really trying to help you, but you can't see that. But somebody don't know you, because Dave Ramsey literally saying that don't make sense. That's dumb. You cannot argue with him because he don't know you. So it's not personal. So to have an outside mentor, sometimes we need an outside mentor. If you don't trust, if you don't want to do it with somebody in your family, go to somebody you don't even know.
If you don't trust your wife, if you don't trust your husband,
go to somebody.
Talk to a mentor. Talk to your pastor.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody that's going to help you, because the thing about the whole thing is about being honest with yourself. Is you be honest with yourself. You sometimes you have to use people, like your pastor, people in your community, a friend that really love you, because people really love you. They're going to tell you the truth.
That's right.
Whether you want to hear it or not. And that's just the way it is. I want to thank you again so much for joining the Lead to Greatness Nation on today. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week. Till then, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world.